Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3.
Well, that's the one then. Yeah, what's right is the mind play.
Good day. Welcome to the Canadian Tank Museum, home to the largest collection of operational historical military vehicles in North America. History lives here. Before we begin the show, please listen carefully to the following important safety briefing. Our demonstrations include moving vehicles and battle reenactments. These can be extremely loud. We recommend hearing protection, especially for children. Foam earplugs are available for purchase at the museum gift shop. Blank rounds may be fired during the show. Occasionally, brass cartridges may be ejected and land nearby. Do not touch them and ensure children do not either. They may be hot. The front row of the bleachers is reserved for guests with mobility challenges or small children. Please respect the seating arrangement and move higher onto the bleachers if possible. Please do not stand in front of the bleachers, as this also blocks the view of others. Do not climb over or attempt to cross the fence into the tank arena. Unauthorized entry in the arena will result in an immediate stop of the demonstration. Please do not lean on or hang items over the fence. In an event of emergency, in the arena you'll see a red flag. This is a visual signal to all vehicle crews that the arena is not safe or that there is a reason to stop the show. Additionally, you will hear 3 long horn blasts like this. This is your signal to immediately follow the directions of the museum staff. Stay seated and remain calm until all clear is sounded by a single horn blast like this. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Safety is our top priority, and your help ensures that everyone has an enjoyable and secure educational experience. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to experience the sights, the sounds, the rumbles of the military vehicles from our historical past to the Canadian Tank Museum's tank arena.
Good afternoon, Aquino. How we doing out there? Woo! I bet we're all a little wet, aren't we? We're wet, the tanks are wet. Well, it's so much fun standing here in this muddy tank arena, but I just want to thank each and every one of our guests today. It's been a heck of a lot of horrible weather, but you still came out to support the museum. You see, it still came out to come here and see what we had to offer after we put this all together. So can we give each other a round of applause for getting through what has been the muckiest Aquino Tank weekend yet? So I'm here in the World of Tanks arena, and this is the finale show of Aquino Tank Weekend 2026. If you were here for the morning show where we did the Second World War, you will know that this will be very quick and very loud. So you were given some earplugs at the front gate. If you are sensitive to that or you are with small children, we highly recommend that you use that hearing protection, because the Gulf War show is going to be louder than the Second World War show. We're going to see a lot of more modern equipment, a lot more pyrotechnics, and a lot more small arms fire. So but before we get to that, we're going to open the show for our sponsor with our special segment, World of Tanks Battle Royale. Now what this is going to be, and this is actually the last fight of an Aquino long tournament that's been going on between the M60 crew and the Leopard 1 crew. So on Friday, the M60 crew came out on top. On Saturday, believe it or not, it was so close it was called a draw. And now this is the final battle of Aquino 2026, and you, the public, are going to decide which tank wins World of Tanks Battle Royale. It's going to be fast, it's going to be loud, and you're going to see the simulation of two modern main battle tanks fighting it out. Does that sound fun?
Yeah! There's that C-130 takeoff.
I got a call from the airport. I can't promise anything, but that Royal Canadian Air Force transport may buzz us really low and fly over during the show if they get permission. So again, that would be super exciting, but I cannot promise it. But be prepared for that anytime between now and 3 p.m. Marshall, send out the tanks. And here comes the first contender. It is the former Belgian Army Leopard 1A5. The Leopard was developed by West Germany in the early Cold War and became a mainstay of NATO nations as their choice of main battle tank, including Canada. It weighs in at over 40 tons, has a main weapon 105 millimeters, and is considered one of the fastest tanks ever to be built in the world. Now the Leopard will be facing off again against the M60, built by Chrysler. The American M60A3 weighs in at over 50 tons, a much heavier tank and better protected, but also with the same firepower. 105 millimeter main
I mean, this is not the worst one. I was the worst one.
Now, the M60 strength is its 10 additional tons of armor. Look at this front glacis plate. Any shot with a 105 millimeter main weapon would not penetrate or disable this tank from the front. The turret is also heavily armored. But because of that additional armor, they sacrifice some speed and maneuverability. The Germans, actually it was that cool if you just saw that, he was actually washing his windshield there. The Germans, their design concept was that the tank that hits first wins the battle. So their tank is lighter at 40 tons. Yes, the front glacis plate can probably deflect a shot from the M60, but its sides have very thin armor. For both tanks, a shot on the rear deck into the engine could destroy or disable the tank. So the strengths of the Leopard are the speed and maneuverability of this tank, and its weaknesses is that softer side armor. So how Battle Royale works. These highly trained crews are going to be going to different firing positions here in the World of Tanks arena. They will be maneuvering and firing and using the different features of the tank arena to protect the soft armor parts of their tank. I will narrate from a safe distance. At the end, we'll bring them forward and you will determine who wins World of Tanks Battle Royale for Aquino Tank Weekend 2026. You do not vote for your favorite tank. You do not vote for your favorite flag. You're going to be voting on the crew. Which crew do you believe outfought, outsmarted, and outmaneuvered the enemy in the tank arena? Does that sound interesting, guys? Woo! All right. Leopard crew, are you ready? M60 crew, are you ready? Well, I'm going to get out of the arena and we'll start right away. Tankers, take your positions. Both tanks moving to their positions. The M60s already have their lower hull hidden behind the hill. Trying to track that Leopard. The Leopard is moving. The Leopard first shot off by the M60. The Leopard had cleverly moved their frontal armor towards the enemy. Both crews are tracking the enemy. M60 moving towards the corner. Great shot by the Leopard on the engine deck of the M60. Great aim on that one. Leopard crews tracking the M60. Second shot by the Leopard. However, a shot on the move is rarely a hit. Here you can see the advantage of the Leopard already in its firing position with the M60 still trying to get around the track. Engine is exposed. Leopard crew pivoting their frontal armor towards the enemy. Now the M60 crew safely behind the hill and also tracking the Leopard. A shot on the top turret of the M60. Two hits there by the Leopard. Looks like Leopard is going to charge down the hill towards the M60 using that speed. M60 crew still tracking the Leopard. What a shot by the M60 crew over the rear feature, hitting the back deck of that Leopard tank. Fantastic gunnery by the M60 crew. And before the Leopard could get off that shot, the M60 did get behind the feature. M60 giving that huge frontal armor towards the enemy. Anything the Leopard fires now is really going to bounce off. Trading shots, but the M60 not staying still. Leopard continues to try to fire on the move. Hitting a moving target while in a moving tank is very, very difficult. M60 gunner seems slightly confused. They're gun over the rear deck. Leopard now takes position and a good shot on the M60. Both tanks trading fire across the World of Tanks arena.
Just gotta get an angle.
M60 seems to be waiting out to see what Leopard's going to do while firing away. The Leopard gunner now quite confused with the Being in a turn of a tank while it's moving so quickly, it's easy to lose your orientation at this speed. Leopard, look at the speed. It's just basically gliding through the mud. M60 in a protected position and a good shot on the Leopard. Right off the engine deck of the M60. So the M60 now charging down the field, not waiting for the Leopard to get the advantage with their speed. M60 moving. Can the M60 get a rear hit into the engine deck of that Leopard? Leopard exposed in the open ground, M60 already tracking the target. The M62 going to get a shot into that engine deck. No, too late. Great shot by the M60 on the rear deck of the Leopard. M60 moving, Leopard gunner attacking his target.
Leopard's nice.
We'll let them get one more round, then we'll bring them up front for you guys to judge. M60, Leopard being much lighter, just gliding on top of that bike. M60 like a fortress there.
I get the driver's license.
All right, tankers, bring it back in, bring it back in. Leopard, that was an unfair shot. And all of our volunteers are thinking about how hard they work to clean these tanks this week before Aquino Tank Weekend. All right, so this is actually a more crucial vote than anyone throughout the weekend because they are so close. Let's just give the tally for Aquino 2026. The M60 with 1 win and 1 draw. And the Leopard for Aquino 2026 with 1 draw. So again, you saw how they maneuvered. You saw how they used their tanks, the strengths of their tanks against the weaknesses of the enemy. You saw how they used the features in the field to protect their tank and to try to outmaneuver the enemy in the turning battle of World of Tanks Battle Royale. So this is where the power goes to you guys. You're going to applaud, shout, hoot. We're going to hear you really give it for which tank crew you believe won World of Tanks Battle Royale. Sound good? Yeah! By applause, hoots and hollers. Who believes the M60 crew won? Wow. Wow. That comes down to this, fellas. By applause and hoots and hollers, who believes the Leopard 1 crew won the battle? Well, Al, what do you think? Yeah, it was pretty close. Pretty close, but we went to our panel there, and today's battle goes to the Leopard Crew. I thought I found a bayonet. It was not. All right, so that means, and this has never happened before in the 14 years of us doing the show, that means Aquino, and that means Tank Saturdays throughout the year, guys. Make sure you grab your poster on the way out if you really enjoyed this show, and come and see us later in the year for some of our other smaller shows where they'll have to duke it out, because the rivalry for 26 is crazy now. We start with Aquino Tank Weekend, a draw. Let's hear it for both tank crews. Well done. All right, we're going to get these tanks safely off the field. And I've already called down to the marshal in the desert. Those vehicles are humming and ready to go. In just a few minutes, we're going to learn more about the veterans of the Gulf War, their vehicles and their stories from over 35 years ago. So stand by. There'll be more action here in the tank arena momentarily.
We're good. Yeah. I think I've got like maybe about 100 rounds left.
Right, but like we have all the blanks. Like,
Yeah.
well, take your rest.
Yeah. The fucking stupid.
Okay, Max Effects is just arming the pyro in the field, and we're about to get ready for the grand finale today. They just need a minute. For safety, we obviously don't just leave the pyro armed. We have to actually send the pyrotechnicians out, arm them, get them ready to go. And again, we'll be introducing our museum president, Al Duffy. He's going to come out here and help narrate the show. We do have some pre-recorded narration like we have in the Second World War with the historical background. But Al's going to introduce some of the vehicles and actually introduce some of the veterans in those vehicles. So it's going to be actually a very interesting opening to the segment before the shooting starts. It was awful nice of the weather to hold out for the Gulf War show. Man, it looked uglier earlier. So just by a show of hands underneath all your umbrellas, who has ever been to Aquino Tank Weekend before? Okay, wow, there's a lot of new attendees. That's fantastic. If you really like what you see here, and maybe you're far away and it's not easy for you to come back, but I'll tell you how you can help the Canadian Tank Museum. You can tell a friend. You can leave a review on Facebook, Google, or TripAdvisor. Let people know about what you experienced here and what Canada's Tank Museum is all about. Boom team, are we good to go? Over.
While we're waiting for the armaments people to finish up with the booms or the Hollywood explosions, let me tell you what's going to happen. Again, I think you saw me in the tank, those of you that were here this morning at 10 o'clock. I'm Al Duffy, the president of the museum, and I have a personal collection and connection with the guys down there. We've slowly acquired different pieces that served in the Gulf War. So we get the pieces, and then what we did, we made sure that it served in the Gulf War, and then through social media, we tracked down the original crew.
Have you seen Daryl's?
So for most of the vehicles you see, or you are going to see, we have the original crew. In some cases, all of them, maybe 3 or 4. In other cases, only maybe 1 or 2. Because it is 36 years ago that we had this. And a lot of these guys have been coming here for, I think this is their 10th year. And every year, we're adding a few more people to it. So we're going to have them come out. I'm going to bring them out in kind of common groups or packets. And then I'm going to describe what the vehicles are. And then what I'll do is I'll introduce you to those veterans that are in the vehicles. And I'll just give a wave and then that'll be it. We'll go through and you'll kind of understand what each of the vehicles do. Because when we have the combat experience here, and we will have the Iraqis are going to be over here, and we're going to have the Allies, American and British, are going to be coming in from over there. And we got a few surprises along the way. And there's going to be a lot of explosions, a lot of the Scorpions are going to come out. We got 3 of them are going to be firing their 75mm cannons. And we got 50 cals, 2 of those, a Dishka on the T-55, that really barks, and a lot of small machine guns that are mounted to the vehicles. So this is where we're going to be.
Sunray, we're ready to go.
So let's bring them out.
Marshall, roll out the tanks.
They're going to go around here 2 or 3 times. You get a good look at them, and then we're going to stop them in groups.
Like a little fucking
They are not Gulf War winning troops. Kind of ironic, they're from the Desert War, the Gulf War, and here they're sliding around in a mud pit. Doesn't seem to make sense, but Here come the Iraqis. We flew them in from Baghdad.
They all fit in B&B, that's crazy. Oh no, this comes in one minute. I got the vacuum. Look how fast it was. Like, vehicles, 15 through.
We're a wild bunch.
Yeah, Ferrets are sick. That'd be fucking awesome.
This for Bob, because they had made one of the Ferrets.
Yeah.
It's just a little thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's start off.
You could have like.
For those, have you ever heard of a Land Rover? Yeah. Well, it's a 1991 Land Rover. It's called a Defender 90. In a military format like this, it's also called a dinky, believe it or not, because it has a smaller 90, what is it, a Defender 90, isn't it? Has a smaller wheelbase. And what we have is, this has been all set up. This is a 1991, so it's period correct. There's all kinds of mounts for communications. It has an aluminum body, so that'll never rust. Diesel engine, it seems to go forever. But here's the fancy part. We have a machine gun here. You can see it's right-hand drive. The driver's over on the other side. And we have a machine gun on the front, and we got two machine guns on the back. Now, the driver is Robin Craig. He's a good friend of the museum's. He loves to drive this thing, and he's been with us for a long time. The gunner is Yeston, and he is the brother of Theon. Theon, hold your hand. Theon and Eston are actually kids of one of our veterans. So they've been coming over. Once they got big enough, they could handle a machine gun. So
Yeah.
You're going to meet their father. He's in a vehicle a little further back. So, and then the last gentleman is a volunteer. What's your name, sir?
Ross.
Ross. Ross is here helping fire the twin machine guns in the back. So you're going to really hear this thing bark. This is pretty, it's like a battle wagon, it's so cool. So let's hear it for the team and the weaponeer. The next vehicle, again, this is a light recce, it's not a big armored thing. This one is a little more armored. This is a Ferret Scout car. They built them in the early 50s and right up until the early 70s. And Canada had a couple hundred of these, and they stopped using them about 1980. The British kept them around and used a lot of them in the Gulf War, which was 1990 and 91. Probably about a year after the Gulf War, they stopped making these, or they stopped using them, I should say. They're no longer with the British service. So I found this as a surplus. This had sat in Belgium in an open field, and it had been painted green, and it just sat there. But through means of defining it and finding out the true serial number on it, we were able to recover it, and we knew exactly this was in the Gulf War, and crazily enough, we were actually able to find the two original crew members here. So the driver, oh, he's up there, that's Jim Lindsay, and the crew commander is Josh Russo-Gill. And they love coming here. You can imagine the look in their face when they flew over here. They're all from the UK. And they see this vehicle that they spent how many months? 4 months. They lived in here in the Gulf. Wow. They slept at the sun. There's no roof on it. They slept in tents and sleeping bags and cots on the side of here for 4 months. This has a Rolls-Royce engine. It goes as fast in reverse as it does forward. It's very heavy. It's not aluminum like the other one. This is steel plating. It's pretty thick, pretty heavy. And the tires are crazy. This is it, a very common, very popular vehicle. Let's hear it for these guys, this crew. Woo! They take time out every year and come over to celebrate this.
That's crazy. They're dollars.
You bring them one at a time? Okay. Okay. All right. This is 3 Scorpions. They're all the same. They're all the same as a vehicle goes, but each of them represents a different armored regiment that was in the Gulf War, British armor. Now, the Brits had Challenger tanks, these great big massive tanks, kind of like the M60 and the Leopard, big tanks. These were the reconnaissance troops that went ahead of the tanks and made sure it was clear. These things have a Jaguar J60 engine in them. They have a 76 millimeter cannon on the top and a coaxial machine gun mounted on the side. So these really weren't meant to engage Iraqis or enemy. They're meant to get out there, look and see and report back. But this first one, call sign 2-1, this was the very first Scorpion that I actually got a hold of. And we again were able to track the crew down. So from the top, we'll start off. Les Critchlow, put up your hand. He's a Staff Sergeant, Les Critchlow. John Whitton and Stu Craddock is the driver. Again, original driver of these machines. They're the 14th, 20th King's Hussars. And they've been coming over here from the very beginning. 2014, our first show, these guys were here. Let's hear it for them. I'm gonna wipe out in this mud, I know it. This next one, 2-3 Alpha. It's the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars, and the original crew member of this, and I'm gonna introduce you to everybody here. Reggie Campbell, you see this bear he's got, this teddy bear? Every conflict, including the Gulf War 36 years ago, this bear has traveled with him. He's had his children here driving our vehicles and firing, I should say, some of the weapons. And we have George Clark, the driver. George wasn't unique to this vehicle. George had his vehicle shot out from, he took a hit from an Abrams tank in the front end. And he was lucky, he was unharmed. His commander, didn't he get nicked in the ear and he lost a finger? Yeah, he survived. What a story to tell. And we got Matt Heaney. Matt, put your hands up. Matt, were you in the Gulf here? Matt's also, you see the big tank? Did you see it? The one with the urban camouflage? It was a chieftain.
Yeah.
That I introduced you to you guys, I introduced you to him at 10 o'clock this morning when we did the opening ceremonies. So that's this team, the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars. Now this Scorpion, again, all three of them are the same. This Scorpion was with the Royal Scots. The Royal Scots, let me get it right here, Dragoon Guards is the full name. Now, we've had the vehicle, but we never had any of the veterans. We were able to track two of them down, so these two were in this vehicle during the Gulf War. Let me read from my wet sheet here. We've got Graham Bell, he's the driver, and we got Ian McKecken on top as the crew commander. He's also the gunner today. He'll be firing the master weapon. These things all fire. If you didn't hear them earlier, you're going to hear them today. So let's hear it for the Royal Scots.
Woo!
That's great, man. It's fucking really cool.
Now those three Scorpions were attached to an armored regiment where they had big tanks. This is different. These are missile carriers. These first two are strikers. And you see one shows, the first one shows the platform at the back is up in the air. Each one in that platform can hold 5 sweep fire missiles. A huge missiles. If any of you went down into the Gulf War area down there, we had a missile on display, and it fires on a wire. You know the drones today in Ukraine, you see them, there's on spools of wire. It's old technology, but it prevents them from being jammed. But this was old, 36 years ago. They could fire these swing fire missiles, and these missiles had 4,000 meters, 4 kilometers. They could take out any main battle tank, T-72, T-55, T-54, anything the Iraqis had, if they could hit it with these. Now they're on the same chassis as the 3 Scorpions you just saw. Same J60 engine, the same track, same bogie wheels, but the chassis, above the chassis, the deck up here is different. So these two are the same. You should note by the Welsh flag up there and on the side of the vehicle that this is 3-1 Delta. This was the Queen's Dragoon Guards, and we tracked this down, and we have, I'll start the 2 gentlemen at the top. There is Calvin Bird. Calvin is the gentleman with the 2 kids that were in the Land Rover that you saw. And Sean Bannister served with him, not on this vehicle, but he was a commander of another one just like it. And we have, where are we here? Rick Stewart is the driver. Rick is not British. He wasn't in the Gulf War. He's from California, but he's one of our American friends that come up here, and he's been kind of part of our whole band of brothers up here and helping us out. So that's it for this. And they all have their own stories about how they took out different tanks. Some took out T-72s, some took out BMPs, troop carriers. Now here we have 3-2. This was the very first striker. They're called strikers, the last one and this one. This was the very first one I got. And this was in a field for 18 years that had trees growing out of it. I saw a guy bought it and he was restoring it. But I didn't want it because it was a striker. I checked out the history on it based on the serial number. And I found that this was in the Gulf War. So then we did it all up. And then I reached out social media. We tracked down veterans that were on this particular vehicle. So let me introduce you to them.
Just like in a graveyard.
On the top we've got John Seeley. Oh, the driver. I'm sorry, he's driving. John was here, Peter Bradbury, and Paul Harris. Paul's we couldn't find Paul. He was a picture of a young lad with shocking red hair, and I kept saying, what happened to, like I saw the picture, what happened to the guy with the red hair? No one knew about him, so we talked to more and more people, and finally we were able to track him down, and here he is, 36 years later, in the rain. Peter Bradbury. Peter was with the same group as well. I think I got you all, and I think we got this covered. Again, they were a band of brothers unto themselves. Take it on.
I mean, it'd be amazing too if they never released.
They were with the 16th Royal Lancers. You heard of the charge of the Light Brigade? That kind of thing? That's the Lancers. And this also was with the Lancers. It's call sign 1-2. Again, the same chassis, and it kind of looks like the same turret as the 3 Scorpions that you just saw. And it actually is, but it has a different gun. It doesn't have a 76 millimeter like that. This has a 30 millimeter Raritan cannon. It's a Raritan cannon. It fires 6 in concession, and then you got to recharge it. But this was the screen. There was, I think, 4 of these to every one of the strikers. So we had 4 of these to protect each one of the ones that you just saw. So out in the field, so people can't get, because they're all thick skinned. One hit on these would take them out. So we have as the driver, who's been with us for many years, Steve Baker, the original driver of it. Up top, we've got George Clegg. Although he's not a Lancer, he's a jack of all trades. And the other gentleman, Richard, we have Richard volunteers for helping us out. So that's it for the actual Scorpion. Scimitar.
It's unbelievable. Like if you never experienced this,
You don't even know, like, we have full auto.
oh yeah.
I don't know. No. All right, now very quickly, I just go over the American vehicle because there is some storm coming here. Of course, we got the Humvee, American built, came out in 1980 and is still in service with many countries around the world, including the United States. The M113 Armored Personnel Carrier, designed in 1960 on battlefields since 1963 and still in service with NATO countries. Many of you had a ride here. And I already introduced the Chrysler M60A3, representing the United States. Marshall, send out the Iraqis. Now, the opposition force, the first vehicle we have, just like the American M113, but this is a Soviet-era vehicle. You have to remember that Iraq at that time was a client state of the Soviet Union, and they were sold a lot of Eastern Bloc equipment, both in their small arms and in their vehicles. So we have a Soviet BMP-1. It's a APC and a light tank in one. It, just like the 113, it carries troops. Our Iraqi soldiers up top. And you've seen this beast running around the arena today and in the opening ceremony, the Soviet T-54 main battle tank. The Iraqi forces had T-54s, T-55s, and their elite guard had T-72s. You can see this tank is done up just like it would have been in the Gulf War. So now, as the vehicles get into position, you know, Al Duffy, museum president, I just want to share something here because the news came out before Christmas last year, but we haven't mentioned it at Aquino at all. So Al, a long-time private collector, even before he was involved with the museum, and all the research he's done in connecting these vehicles that he was collecting and connecting them with their veterans and doing the research on these vehicles and bringing them back to the way they were over 36 years ago. And it was an incredible surprise last year, near the end of the year, when Mr. Duffy sent me a letter that the entire Gulf War collection was being donated to the Canadian Tank Museum. And he made that donation just before Christmas last year. So let's hear it for Mr. Duffy for saving that history and then making such an incredible gift to this museum. So the vehicles are in their positions. Al is actually going to head up to the bleachers. I know there's a lot of umbrellas up there, but we have to find a space where you can let Al go. Maybe we can, because he has to be able to see the whole battlefield. He's going to be controlling the battle from up in the bleachers. So Mr. Duffy is coming around. And again, guys, you might have to move over a little bit as we go, just so we can have him up there and he can see the whole battlefield. Let's get the narration started and this battle will go. AV, play the introduction.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of forces actually. There's like at least 12 of them.
It's the
Here?
24th of
February,
Here?
1991, 35 years ago. Amid the howl of sandstorms, the British 1st Armored Division thunders into the deserts of Iraq in complete radio silence. Attached to the 1st Armored Division, the Royal Navy's Fleet Electronic Warfare Support Group have been extremely busy. Using pre-recorded radio transmissions from training exercises, they had deceived the Iraqi army into thinking that they would be advancing on the eastern flank, directly into occupied Kuwait and sticking to the major roads. But the truth was quite the opposite. The 1st Armored Division was prepared to make its attack on the western flank across the open desert, a feat made possible with the advent of Global Positioning System, or GPS, technology. Hopefully, if all went according to plan, the Iraqis would have no idea they were coming.
Yeah, when the Iraqi war started, Anna was born. Like, just crazy.
So here we see the Iraqi soldiers. They have no idea that there's any Allied troops coming in this sector. So again, maybe not as muddy, but Iraq isn't all desert. It has large deltas and green spaces. And what the Iraqis do not know is that the Allies have a new technology that we now take for granted called GPS, or Global Positioning Satellite Technology. So the Allied forces are striking not where the Iraqis expect, but they're striking through the desert where there are no landmarks, where maps are no good. And they're using this technology in 1990-91 that was still a military secret, their GPS technology, guiding their battle columns around the flank of the Iraqi army. So here, the Iraqi soldiers, you can see they're just sitting there in their position. Some of them not even away close to their weapons or in the vehicles. The drivers aren't in the hatches because there's no reason for them to expect that a huge armored column would be coming in their direction. A lot of the Iraqi troops were actually conscripts. They did have their elite Republican Guard, But the vast majority of Iraq's army were conscripts. So they were away from home, away from their businesses or their farms, and serving in the forces. And at this point, some of them had not been paid for several months. So they were very disgruntled, and a lot of them were not fans of the regime. So we have undertrained and underqualified conscripts who have no idea what's about to come. So now you can see the light reconnaissance, the head of the column, the eyes and ears coming out of the desert closer to the position. The Land Rover there is scanning for an enemy position. They know that they should be running into Iraqis soon. Iraqis have just spotted them. Here comes the American force. So the armored ferret there up on the hill trying to give some covering fire for the light reconnaissance vehicle that's completely buzzed the enemy position. They're completely unprepared. And notice that they've also thrown smoke. They've thrown smoke into the enemy position so that the air power can see where this Iraqi position is. The Iraqis are definitely awake now, but confused, being fired on from the front, fired on from the rear, smoke in their position. What just hit them? Where did they come from? Vehicle crews have now got back into their tanks and their BMPs. And along comes the heavy reconnaissance vehicles. Here come the Scorpions. They've been given their position by their light recce troop.
Contact with the enemy and crews use their superior training, technology, and focus to engage and destroy the enemy.
They're keeping their distance. They know that there's some heavy Iraqi armor there in that position. So they call up their anti-tank squadron. Here come the Strikers. Strikers coming in for support. Strikers are now going to be able to pin down Iraqi tanks with their slingfire missiles. And what's this cresting over the ridge? The Americans have also arrived to support the British. You can see the tank of the U.S. Marine Corps up there on the bridge. Down the M60 bombardment on the Iraqi position. Steve.
Under the relentless British onslaught, the Iraqi forces are taking heavy casualties. Seeing the futility of the situation, many Iraqi fighters begin to throw down their weapons and raise their hands in surrender. To end all further resistance and reduce casualties on both sides, the British vehicles waste no time closing in.
They're faltering. Driver, advance. Charge them. That's it. Party's over. Good show, chaps.
With the British, American, and other coalition forces having such overwhelming firepower, the ground campaign was over within 100 hours. While coalition losses were relatively low at 292 dead and 776 wounded, Iraqi losses numbered in the tens of thousands, many of whom surrendered with minimal resistance. Despite their overwhelming victory, the coalition controversially leaves Saddam Hussein in power in Iraq, where he stayed until NATO forces overthrew him in 2003. For now, though, Kuwait is liberated and its sovereignty is restored, establishing a firm Western military presence in the Persian Gulf and setting a precedent for military interventions based on international law.
All right, and that's pretty much how the Gulf War ended. That quick and that fast. Let's hear it for the veterans, the volunteers, and the incredible show. And thank you to you for hanging out here in the rain and in the mud. We hope that you had a fantastic, although damp day here at the Canadian Tank Museum. The museum will remain open until 5 o'clock. There's lots of dry exhibits in the museum, including the museum gift shop. The 420 wing across the road is open for beverage service. They also have a 50-50 draw with all proceeds going to local military charities. So you might want to check that out before you leave. So thank you again for visiting Aquino Tank Weekend 2026. It may be wet, but we just hope it was as fun for you as it was for us. Let's hear it one more time for those volunteers. I'm Jeremy, the Executive Director, signing out. Thank you, and I'll see you here in the World of Tanks Arena next time.
Wow, good job. That was awesome. Great job. Great job. That was great.
There's a recruiting group inside NBCC. If you're interested, why don't you talk to them? Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks for coming.